These images sure don't look like much. In fact, it kind of looks like a college student could have shot these anywhere there was a single light set up on white paper. But what you don't see are the hours, even days of pre-production. Approval from more than 10 people from advertising agencies, production companies, and also the clients from big pharma. Not to mention casting calls with over 800 people, organizing a crew with more than 10 different roles, and planning a shoot with so many moving parts from start to finish. In this video, I'll show you with advertising jobs, especially ones you produce yourself, they require so much more than just photography skills. Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Corey Vanderplu at Corey Photo on Instagram and Twitter. In this video, I'm going to show you what an advertising job looks like from start to finish. First thing that needs to happen, which is I think by far the hardest part, is having someone reach out to you to inquire about a job. For this particular job, a producer from the Toronto agency called Click reached out to me about a photography gig that also included some testimonial videos. Right off the bat, you'll see why it's important that photographers learn some motion skills. I think I would have missed out on this massive opportunity if I didn't have a film and motion background and motion work on my website. My team responded from there, and we got off to a creative call with the producer, the creative team from the agency, and my producer and myself. Quick side note here, to make myself seem like a bigger studio than just myself, I actually employ one of my best friends and all-around smooth talkers, Robbie Pitt, to take the lead on all things production. This does two critically important things. Number one, it makes my studio seem bigger and more professional because I have an employee to look after everything logistical. And number two, it allows someone other than myself, aka the artist, to discuss the money. This will get around all of the awkwardness. It'll end up getting you a higher rate, especially when someone's handling the money. There's lots of reason to have someone work for you, including having a second set of eyes on all the paperwork, allowing all the time to discuss client requests, and most importantly, it allows me or the artist to focus on the art. All right, back to the video. This call is really make or break and one of my favorite parts of the job. Having a face-to-face or Zoom these days and talking about my work, the wants and needs, my previous experience, what qualifies me to do this gig, and most importantly, schmoozing the creative team to hire me. This skill takes time, but if you're a photographer, you're already working on this skill by shooting new people and doing it often.
And now just cheat your eyes. Yeah, perfect.
From there, I got sent to deck so I could have some visual examples of what they need, and there was a lot. The content might look simple, but when you look in the shot list, you'll see it includes 3 hero images with CGI, 4 full body images, 5 food images, 9 roadside images, 4 videos with a script, BTS video, and 4 client interviews. So you can see how a job like this can be very daunting. After me and my team gathered all of this information, we started building a quote. This quote allows us to see who and what we need for the shoot and also how much it costs. I recommend building 2 quotes. One with kind of the cheapest you can do for each line, and second for your dream price. This way you have 2 quotes you can compare, find a happy middle ground. Building a quote is an art form in itself, and I recommend charging whatever day rate you would be happy getting. That's $1,000 or $20,000. If it's a price you're happy with, then put that number down, or just don't do the job. Know your worth and stick to it. Also, you need to be very communicative with the producer. Try to learn their budget. Pick up small cues and hints to help you build an accurate budget. And once that's approved, it's off to the races. Since we were under a time crunch, the first thing we did was reach out to a casting director to get these 4 roles cast and assemble the crew. You need to know exact casting details like usage and usage fees, talent fees, photography and video needs. Are they union or non-union? The list goes on. The best thing you can do is put a casting director in touch with the producer, or let your hired producer take care of that while you assemble your crew. For my crew, I enlisted a cast of familiar characters that I work with all the time, and they obliged, and we were ready to rock. Some new people I worked with were a BTS photographer, a food stylist, but when you have money to pay full day rates, you find these people very easily. Once the casting is figured out and the shoot days are locked in, the post-production schedule and high-res delivery dates are confirmed, then it's really time to push and plan those shoot days. Luckily, I've been on a tremendous amount of big sets, so planning the day was very simple. Due to the high amount of shots in the shot list and the multiple talent, it was very easy to roll into a 2-day shoot, which means everyone gets 2 day rates. Very ideal. We did 2 subjects a day, both photo and video with 2 setups. And then 2 quick 10-minute interviews with the client for internal purposes, and we'll wrap each day with a still life shoot, either the signs or the food. Pretty simple day when it's laid out like this. You can see we wrap at 6:30 both days, but in reality we were done at 4 p.m. both days, and it was an incredibly easy day. I always leave a little bit of a cushion at the end of the day. That way if any client wants to do a pickup shot or anything extra, we have time for that. But very rarely do they do that. We end up just wrapping it around 4:30. Once everything is locked in and you're totally prepared for the shoot day, be ready for a lot of back and forth between you and the producer, you and the client and the producer, etc., etc. You will find there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen and a lot of people with very different roles and lots of people on the hierarchical ladder. There are a tremendous amount of emails about final details, creative decisions, last minute tweaks and changes to the concept, everything and anything. I recommend just rolling with the punches, standing your ground, being firm and polite, or as I call it, being full Canadian. I also had to find and provide examples of CGI work so that the creative team and client could approve. And again, once you have money to pay great artists and work with talented people, they are really not hard to find. A little Google search with the job scope and you will have people clamoring to work with you. Because I produce a job, I was able to inflate the cost of each line item. Gear, crew, day rates, studio rentals, catering, pretty much everything. And that put money back into my business and studio. This covers all costs for producing and provides a small cushion in case you misquote something. Since it was one of the first jobs I ever produced, I misquoted casting fees by almost $3,000. Massive mistake on my part, but I was covered because of that 15% contingency I added to each line item. Just something to think about when making a budget. I also had to book the talent and pay the talent, which is a lot of extra money funneling through my business, so make sure you are compensated accordingly. From there, it's time to shoot. Assuming you've already organized all the still life shots, found a rental place with worn out signs, gotten your gear and EQ ready, prepped and briefed your team, locked in makeup, hairstylists, food stylists, production assistants, videographers, all of that. Printed your pre-pro decks for the client and creative team on set and sent a call sheet to each team member for their correct day. This is where you find out that it's a lot bigger than just simple images shot on white. It can get very daunting knowing you're responsible for 15 plus people getting paid their day rates, plus talent, plus a creative team and clients flying in all over the country. And all of this relies on the fact that you can shoot the job timely, exactly how you planned it with the client, and then manage to back up that very, very expensive raw data that's all the photos and videos. When there's this many moving parts, you can see where the pressure starts to mount, but think of it just as another shoot. Treat it like an exercise to do something new and just have fun with it. The shoot day was actually a wonderful thing. You get to work with a team that you chose, so it will probably be a fun day on set with like-minded professionals and friends. You have your producer to make sure everything is running smoothly and you can just focus on creating the images. I have a world-class assistant in Digitech working with me, so I can tell them the lighting setup and hand over a drive and I'm good to go. Check in with every member of the team and let them know what you're thinking and what your approach is, and then just let them do their thing. Your focus should be schmoozing the client and becoming best friends with the creative team, since they will be hiring you for future gigs. Once the whole team has found their groove and you've made the client feel as comfortable as possible, it's time to shoot. The shoot was laid into photography first. The lighting setup was very simply lit. I just had 2 large soft sources at a 45-degree angle from the subject, a massive 8-foot by 8-foot fill, and voila. A super clean setup on white with just enough shadow for dimension. Not the sexiest lighting setup, but one that's great to have in your repertoire and great for pharma gigs like this. Quick side note, I use this exact lighting for Tom Brown, even a high fashion job, so this can be used in many different ways. I started with my first subject and just had fun and messed around for 20 to 30 minutes and the look was done. The shot list wasn't that crazy, I just needed a straight on portrait and a full length, so it was actually very simple. Before we moved on, I always like to sit with the creative team to make selects with them on set. This way most of the work is done and edited by the time the shoot is over. They will have a small batch of selects they love and remember, and this will cut down on editing work at the end of the day or following days. Big tip. Always allow time to edit images with the client and creative before moving on. If the client is approved, then you can take a big sigh of relief and move on. From there, I did the same thing as subject 2. Shot lots of variety, lots of range, consistently giving them feedback from the creative team, and they went through the selects. After that was done, it was on to video. The lighting setup was very similar as well. Big source of 2-foot Kinos blasted in one direction with an 8x8 fill to give that face a nice shadow ratio. Nice clean on-white image. For this one we also lit the background with 2 additional Kinos and gave that background a nice punchy white. I had them rifle off their small 1-paragraph script and had the creative team looking at the locked off camera A while I shot details and close-up to me mixed in with the cut as camera B. No need for playback here since the client and the team watched it happen. Once they were happy and moved on, they did the same thing with subject number 2. By the time we got to that, the team and I were well-oiled machines and we knocked it out in no time. After lunch, we knocked out a client interview, very simply shot, 2 lights, no consistency was needed because they wanted a BTS feel, so we kind of just improvised and knocked it out while the client answered questions asked by the creative team. I wasn't handling post-production on this, and they didn't seem too concerned about the particulars of the dialogue or narration, so we finished pretty early. After that, we did still life shots of street signs, which was very simple. Just had to shoot a variety of options so the creative team could swap out the text, and our day is done. 2 hours ahead of schedule with the creative team and the client happy. Now we just got to do the same thing for day 2. By this point, I'm just having fun working with my team, and the day is very simple. I followed the same routine that worked flawlessly in day 1 and just worked on consistency and planted the notes that the client gave me from day 1 into day 2. No need to overcomplicate. Just chip away at the shot list and make sure the creative team feels important. Listen to what they say and have open, honest discussion about yours and their choices. It'll help you get the core message and make the shoot day a lot easier. I did the same setup with video, similar setups with the client testimonials, and it was on to the food stuff. The food stylists came in and did all the heavy lifting. I shot on a table with a single light right above me to give it that evenly lit look and feel. Again, very simple. Almost too simple. But the key is it's exactly what the client wanted. So they were thrilled. And just like that, the 2-day ad job is over. The team can take a big sigh of relief and flood my inbox with invoices. I'll let my producer handle that while I focus on the real work, post-production. I have 20 plus images to retouch. 4 of those have CGI that need to be implemented, but I can't do any of that until the client sends me back their selects. So in the meantime, I work on the video rough cuts to stay on track. These are a piece of cake. Very easy to cut since there were 2 cameras. They don't take me very long and I finish them well in advance of the selects coming. Once the selects come in, I begin retouching. Nothing fancy, just my usual thing. Same moves I do for every image. For a complete guide on my post-production, check out my previous videos. Retouching was simple. A few simple tweaks back and forth with my retouching and the CGI and we were good to go. You gotta note that I always put a clause that the client only gets 2 rounds of revisions. This nips all the back and forth in the butt, and if they want more rounds, then you get more money, so it's a win-win. You have to plan for the client being unorganized, and if they're unorganized, then you can capitalize and get a little bit more money. But after all that is said and done and the high-res images were delivered and improved, the client was very happy. Another job in the books. It took 3 months total from the first email to the last. Like I said at the very beginning, this might not seem like a lot went into these images. Next time you see an advertising campaign or images from anything big pharma, now you know the insane amount of hours and the crazy chain of command that all this went through. And it can lead to bigger and better advertising jobs like these ones. I use this one as an example because most ad jobs require you to sign an NDA or don't allow you to film on set for whatever reason. For this one, I was asked to sign an NDA, but a rule of thumb that I've learned from my first photography mentor is never sign anything. Always let your management sign something. And here we are, making a video for YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or questions about this process, just drop a line below. My name's Corey Vanderplu at Corey Photo on Twitter and Instagram. P.S. If you want to support me or keep these videos going, just check out my Shopify to pick up some signed edition prints, or better yet, head over to my OpenSea to buy some digital art. Every NFT you buy comes with a signed edition print. If you're still confused by NFTs, drop me a line as well. I would be happy to spill some knowledge. Happy shooting, everyone.